Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and you're welcome to the Parashat or to the Shabbat of this morning. The Parashat that we're studying this morning, that the Holy One Blessed be He is going to teach us this morning, is called Parashat Shemini, and I subtitle it Silence. 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 It is very hard sometimes for us to be silent. Right? We just want to speak and speak and speak and speak and speak and talk. We want to voice out our emotion. We want to voice out what is in our head, in our mind. We just want to say it the way it is. But God said, silent. There is a written also in the Torah that said, a wise man keep his mouth shut. A wise man control its tongue. A wise man is always silent. He's silent. He watch. He looks, he understands, he studies before he speaks. It doesn't. Only a fool open his mouth wide and talk nonsense. A wise man keep his mouth silent, shut. Okay, Parashat Shemini relate four main subjects. Number one, the Parashat relates the offering offered to the Holy One Blessed be He in the sanctuary on the 8th day by Aaron and his son after the 7 days of the inauguration of the Mishkan, of the sanctuary by Moshe Rabbeinu. We can see that in chapter 9. Secondly, the parasha also relates the tragic death of Nadav and Avihu, the two eldest sons of Aaron, the Kohen Gadol, through their igniting of alien fire inside the sanctuary, because they were not commanded to do so. They went on their own initiative. They went on their own in their own eagerness to say, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. Oh, it is good. I want to serve God." Remember, last week I told us that in the spiritual realm, the line is thin. Remember, I said, "We shall stand. You shall remain on that path. You shall not go to the left, or you shall not go to the right. You shall stand on that particular line that God has given you, or that God has commanded." Because He said, don't do more and don't do less. Do exactly what you are commanded. So these guys, they were not commanded. They want to take initiative into their own hand. They want to, improve. They think God doesn't understand. Let us improve it. God doesn't ask you about improvement. He said, do this, you do exactly what you are commanded. They were not commanded, and they face the consequence of their actions. We can see that in chapter 10, verse 1 to 11. Thirdly, what the parasha of this morning talks about, it also talks about the manner of eating and non-eating of the offerings that is rendered in the Mishkan by Aaron and his two remaining sons after the death of Nadav and Avihu on the day of them becoming the manna, and the ensuing disagreement also between Moshe and Aaron, because after that there was a little kind of clashes, right, between the two brothers, between Aaron and Moshe. They were going to see how that was also resolved. Okay, and the final one, which is the fourth one in this parasha, what is teaching us is also, the parasha also details the laws regarding pure and impure animals. You can see that in chapter 11. That is the law, the kashrut law. Remember, the Torah says you are what you eat. If you eat good, you'll be healthy. If you eat garbage, you'll always be sick. Because what you eat goes into your system. And that is who you are. The Torah says you are what you eat, which is the fact. But we can see the problem that we're having in our world today. When God commanded us that we should eat what is organic. We should not tamper with genome. We should not tamper with the genes of any creation. But man said, no. We are smarter than our God. Let us improve it. We need to improve it. No, is that not the case? That is the case. We are improving it, and when we eat all this GMO with all these chemicals in it, then people start getting sick and cancer everywhere. Like it just spread everywhere, and people get sick and say, "Oh," but God said, "Do not tamper with the genome of any creation. Leave it the way God." There is a reason why God designed it that way, right? I'm not saying that to do things better, it's not good. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to some particular thing like the genome that God has commanded us, do not tamper with it. Don't do anything with it. Leave it the way it is. That's the reason. We can, if you, for example, you can improve your house, right? Maybe you build a small tent, and God bless you, and God prosper you. You know what? I want to build a mansion. It's different. That is improvement, right? You have the resources, you have the finance, you can build a mansion for yourself. The children of God should live in the best houses in the world. That is my conviction, right? Because we are the children of the Most High God, the God of all the ends of the multiverse, right? So we can improve that. You can improve your car, you can improve your clothing, you can improve all the other things, right, that you want. But when it comes to genes, God said do not tamper with it. It's not good. Because when you tamper with it, it causes trouble. And so this is what the sage is telling us. We are what we eat. So we should eat good. No matter how it is, smallly, eat what is good. Don't go to McDonald's and eat McDonald's all your life. Then you are going to face the consequence. Don't be eating Tim Hortons every time. Because most of those food, they have what? Addictive. Yes, it is confirmed. They have addictive in them that want to just go back. And those things affect your what? Your systems. The 8th day was the first day of the month of the sun. On this day, the sanctuary became fully functioning. The holy fire descended from above on the mishbach, that is on the altar, to receive the offering of Aaron and his 2 remaining sons. In Rashi's first commentary on the Parashat, he writes that the 8th day of the inauguration was the first, that is Rosh Chodesh, the new moon of Nisan. For on that day, the sanctuary was erected, and it took a 10th crown to do so. So what is Rashi telling us? Rashi is giving us an explanation here that it took 10 crowns for the first day, for what happened on the 8th day. Remember, the 8th day of the month of the inauguration of the sanctuary. He said on the 8th day, the 8th day was actually the what? The first day of Nisan. That was when the sanctuary, the Mishkan, was completely erected, and the services start inside the Mishkan. The offerings, the slaughtering of the animals and this and so on start on the 8th day, which was on the first month, the first day of Nisan. So now the Rashi continue. Rashi said that the 10th crown taken by the 1st of Nisan, which is the 8th day, were these. Number 1, he said, if we look perfectly well, the first day of creation. People say that that we consider the 1st of Nisan as the day of as the day of creation. But some people also consider say that, you know what, that the world was created in the month of Tishrei. Whatever you want to, which one is which, you know, we can debate on that. Because the first day of creation, the sanctuary was erected for the use on the Yom Roshim, which is the first month, which is the first day, and was the first day of creation. Even if one holds the opinion that the world was created on the month of Tishrei, nevertheless, the day the sanctuary was erected on the 8th day is understood as a new beginning. Remember, 8 meaning a new beginning. That's the number. Number 8 meaning a new beginning. When you count 1 to 7, 7 is a what? Is a rest day, right? You rest, and the next number you start again, right? Is a new beginning. All right. So, and Rashi continue. He said, secondly, on the first day, that was the first day of the offering of the princes, all the princes of Israel, the 12 princes, they came to offer their what? Their offering on the temple in the Mishkan. Thirdly, he said the first day was the first day of the priesthood, the first day that Aaron and his son served in that Mishkan. That was their first day, their first time. And he also said on the fourth one, he also said that was the first day of the work of the offering. Because before that time there was no offering, right? So that was the first day the offering began in the Mishkan. It continued. He said, and that was also the first day the fire from God descended from above. Boom! And consumed the offering. Remember, I told us many times that this fire is not the physical fire that you see. No, it's not this one that you put the matches and the fire comes out. It's a different kind of fire. It's a fire with intelligence. It's an intelligent fire. You see, it's not the fire that, no, it's a different kind of fire. So that fire came down and lit up all the offering, on the altar. That was the first day that happened. Also, it's also the first day that Aaron and his son will be eating of the holies. That means the sacrifice that they have to eat. They have to eat it in the what? In the Mishkan, in the courtyard. They cannot take it outside. That was the first day it starts, for them to be eating those meat. And it continues, it's also the first day of the resting of the Shekinah upon the what? Upon the Mishkan. That was when the Shekinah completely rested upon the Mishkan. It's also the first day the priest blessed Israel. That is the priestly blessing. The priestly blessing that I always said after the service. That was the first day it was recited upon the whole people, upon the entire congregation of Israel. And number 9 is also the first. It is also the first day that offering a strange offering to another altar. Now, that means you cannot go and offer a sacrifice to on another altar. That means on another gods. That's what he's saying. You cannot go and offer offering to any gods. Now, because the Mishkan, it has been established now, all Israelites has to come to the Mishkan. We don't have 2 Mishkan, we have 1 Mishkan. And what is the purpose of that? God is giving us this understanding. He's saying that I know you are going to enter into the land. You are going into the land, but God is teaching Israelites this particular principle as early as now. So that when they get into the land, they will stick together as one. They won't be divided. Because God doesn't want us to have 2 altars. God doesn't want to have 3 altars. God doesn't want us to have 4 altars or 10 or whatever number that you can imagine. God wants us to have only 1 altar. 1. And all Israelites will always come to that particular altar to offer sacrifice. What is the understanding of this? It's about oneness, unity. 1 tree. All of us are surrounding that tree. We make a zayad surrounding that tree. Zayad meaning a fence around that tree. You cannot have 10, 5. No, because you don't know what this one is doing. Might not be the same one that this one is doing. Might not be the same one that this one is doing. Might not be the same one that this one is doing. If you have different altars, if you have different places where you are sending sacrifice, I don't even know who do you sacrifice to. That's the idea that the Kohen Gadol, the Kohanim are in that particular only 1 altar, right? Later on we have it in Jerusalem. Only that altar, every Israelite must go and make an offering, right, unto the Lord. And finally, what Rashi said was that the first day of the month of the year, that was the first day of the month of the year for the Kohanim, because that was the day everything began. All the services, all the rituals, all the offerings, all the eating of the meat offering, of all kinds of things that they can, and how they have to eat it. So it's all instructed by God on this particular day. So it takes 10 crowns, and as I said, he said that it takes 10 words to create the world. The 10 words was used by God to create the entire universe. Everything was created by 10 words. So, and 10 words, if you look at it again, it meaning 1. God is 1. He is the root of all. All knowledge, all understanding, the root of it is God himself. So, to continue, in Talmud, there is a place that is called Olam Rabbah 9:2, right? It says down there, he said to Aaron, take for yourself a calf. The question now is, why did God ask Aaron to take a calf? A calf is a bull, a small one, a 1-year-old. Why did God ask Aaron to take a calf? Remember that Aaron took a calf for his own offering. in this week, in this today parasha that we learn in the dedication of the inauguration. Sorry, for the inauguration of Aaron himself and his two sons. He said, "Take for yourself a calf." And now the question is, why a calf? And the answer is this. He said, to let Aaron understand that the Holy One, blessed be He, had forgiven him through this calf for the sin of the golden calf. You know, Aaron designed the golden calf. And all of them were bowing down, oh, this is the God that delivered you from where? From Egypt. And that really was a big sin. Was it that brought Israel from this top down to the floor. And now God, and that trouble Aaron most of his life. And God is saying, take a calf, bring the calf. This time it's not the golden one. This one is the one that's alive. Bring that calf, bring it. I want to tell you that the sin that you think that, because I said this, give us the understand that Aaron was condemning himself. He wasn't even sure that it can be the Kohen Gadol. He's afraid. Moshe was telling him, you are the one that God has chosen. You must be the Kohen Gadol. He's afraid. He said, oh, I can't because I sinned. I did what was wrong before. His guilt is still in his heart. See, that particular time, he's afraid. If he comes towards God, he might be consumed. He's afraid. So Moshe, don't worry. God said, bring the calf. Bring the calf. He brought the calf. God said, it's not I. It's not I. Do what you want to do. You do it. God's forgiving you your iniquity. There is a kind of understanding that God is teaching us here. If we look at it perfectly well, the image of the calf and the one that God has said, the life one that God said, come and do what? And offer. God is trying to say that I have removed your iniquity. I have removed your sin. I'm cleansing you. Remember that sin equals death. Sin equals death. That's what the Torah said. But for Aaron to live, he need to do what? An exchange of life. He need to do what? Offer that calf in the place of himself. So that he will live and the calf will go his own way, according to to what our study said. When Aaron learned that teshuvah work, he could then help others make teshuvah in the same way. A man, like for example, I don't want to mention any religious organization, but there's a religious organization that they said the priest cannot marry. Don't marry. Their priest or their priest there does not marry. He's always single, right? They call it celibator or celibator. I don't know how they say it. Celibatar or tai. Okay, tai. So in tech, celibatar. So in that religion, so and everybody come, a married man with his problem come and say, hey, Rabbi. So how can the rabbi advise, or I mean the priest? How can the priest advise the man who is married if he is not married? What experience can you even tell him? Because you don't know what that man is passing through. You are not in his shoe. You can only understand what that man is passing through if you are in his shoe. If you are married like him, you understand the situation, the problem that the same man is facing. So that is where the problem is. Aaron understood that God has forgiven him. Aaron understood that, oh, God has forgiven me, I'm clean, I'm okay, I'm alive. Yes, I now know the secret of teshuvah. I can now lead you to God in making teshuvah, because I was like you before and now I am clean. So if God can cleanse me, God can cleanse you. That is the teaching that God is teaching us here. If God can cleanse me as the Kohen Gadol that commit the greatest grievous sin, how much more you? God can cleanse you too. And I know how this is done. Come, follow me. I will teach you. But if Aaron doesn't know, how can he lead others to God? He can. So that is the idea here. A man who doesn't have a wife, a man who doesn't know what the pain of a woman, a man who doesn't know how to raise a child, will come and advise you how to raise your own child. Does it even make sense? It doesn't make sense. But I'm sorry, it is like that in the world that we live now. Okay, in the Talmud, is also there is in Olan Rabbah 9:4. He continued. He said, "For the eternal appeared to you today." He said, "For the eternal appears to you today. No one can see God and live." That's what the Torah said. How can God appear now to somebody? Right? The Torah says, Moshe said, "God, I want to see your face," no? And God told him, "No man can see me and live." So, but the Torah said, "And for the eternal appear to you today." So how can God appear to Aaron today, and Aaron is not dead, and Aaron is still alive? What is going on here? How do we explain this? God will land the Shekinah through the work of your hand. And why the work today? To show that today, when the sacrifices or the offerings and the process of Teshuvah begin, God can be experienced. Remember, a woman, when I use the word man, please remember I'm talking about men and women. That is what I'm trying to say. If a man who have no any idea on how the glory of God can, on how a person can experience the glory of God, how can he be able to teach another person what is the glory of God? Because you've never seen it, you've never experienced it. You can only teach other people how to experience the glory of God. That means seeing God, meaning experiencing the glory of God. Right? So once you experience the glory of God, you can be able to say others, "Oh, this is how to experience the glory of God." So all these things are the teaching that the Kohen Gadol is teaching us, because he experienced those things, and then he can be able to teach you and me and teach us on how to experience this and on how to do the true Teshuvah. Right? So the Teshuvah is not just by mouth, it's also by actions that we have to do. God spoke to Aaron saying, "Do not drink intoxicating wine, you and your sons with you, when you come to the tent of meeting, that you not die. This is an eternal decree for your generations." In the book of Leviticus, chapter 10, verse 8 and 9. Torah Kohanim, chapter 10, verse 8 and 9. Why is this instruction given to Aaron immediately after the death of his sons, of his two sons? Why this instruction that God is telling him not to come into the tent of meeting intoxicated? Why is this? As for me, I am always dumbstruck with the story of the death of Nadav and Avihu. I have never been satisfied with either the mainstream explanation of the brothers' drunken state, nor the mystical explanation that reverberates with Sufi philosophy. That the ultimate conjunction with the only one, blessed be He, is necessarily means death. I can't understand that. I've been trying all my life. When I come to this parasha, I read and read and read and read and read. It doesn't click into my brain. The mainstream understanding is this. The mainstream understanding is that these two these two men were drunk with alcohol, and they went into the holies of holy to offer a strange fire, and they were consumed. But there is another kind of Sufi philosophy. The Sufi philosophy is this: that one has to cleanse the soul. The soul is the power for you to be able to come close to God. Your soul has to be completely 100% clean. To me, this both explanation, I find it very, very hard, because as Sage said that Nadav and Avihu have reached the highest level, and so because they reached the highest level of holiness, of cleanliness, they have to die. I don't believe that. I'm telling you the truth. I don't believe that, right? Because they died so young. There is another understanding here that they died because they were trying to prove that they are more agile than their parents, than Aaron or Moshe. Pride. There's another explanation that, as I said, that they were drunk, intoxicated before the Lord, and they faced the consequence of their action. But what is actually God is saying here? For me, I think when they saw God, when they saw the glory of God, they were high. In the spirit. Okay? They were very, very high. And so therefore, they want to feel that high again. Which means they are not getting what, there's this word in English, addiction. It's like a man who uses drugs. He wants to always feel high. When the drug goes down in the system, he comes back to the real world. And he doesn't want to come back to the real world. He wanted to continue in that fantasy of his mind. He go and get another one to remain in that particular level. And God is saying, this is not how spiritual life works. No. You cannot come to my presence and say, you want to feel high, high, high. No. There is no addiction here. No. You have to be commanded to come, not just burst into my room anytime that you want. That is exactly what they did. They just burst into the room of God and say, okay, God, come. I want make me to feel high. No, it doesn't work that way. And they face the consequence of their action immediately. So when God wants to see you, he commands, come. Then you come, right? Before the king. You don't just go and we also saw that in Purim, right? When Esther said, please pray for me. I'm going to the king, even though the king didn't ask me to come. But please fast for me, pray for me so that I will find favor. Because if the king said execute her, she'll be executed immediately because she's not called to come before the king. How much more God Almighty? That is a human being, eh? So this is the idea that even though coming to the presence of God, you come when you are commanded to come. Asking God with mercy, compassion. Not just, oh, I want to feel high like yesterday. Let me just burst in again and make a sacrifice and feel high. No. He said they came with alien fire that they are not commanded. And whatsoever some of us sages want to say that they are innocent people, they were young men, and they reached the highest level of purity, and now they have to die. I don't believe in that. No, I don't believe in that, because the Torah speaks explicitly saying they brought fire that is not commanded. That's what the Torah said. They are not commanded. They came with a strange fire before God. So, to this moment, I still struggle with this text. And like Aaron, I can only be silent. There is no other word that I can speak, because only God knows what went on in that place. Only God can explain what actually happened in that Holy of Holies when they came to the Mishkan to offer a strange fire before God. Only God knows their state of mind and what is the thought of their mind. But there is one important lesson that God is trying to teach us that I personally derive from this text. And this is it. Immediately after the death of his sons, God speaks to Aaron alone. Immediately after the death of his sons, God came to Aaron and spoke with Aaron. And in the entire Torah, God has never ever spoke to Aaron alone, directly. God always speaks to Moshe. Moshe will tell Aaron. God will speak to Moshe. Moshe will tell Aaron. This is the first and the final time. First and the final time God talked directly with Aaron. The first time. Right? So God only talked to Moshe. Moshe will give the instruction to Aaron. Aaron will tell the people. That's how it goes. But this time, God came directly to Aaron and communicated with him and talked to him. What did God told him personally, without Moshe knowing, without the children of Israel knowing? It was a matter of privacy. It's a matter of a father and son, right? Trying to console a guest, trying to console him. It has to happen that way. Calm down. Everything is going to be okay. But follow the instruction. The line is thin. Stay on this path. Do not go here. Do not go here. Stay on that particular thin line. This is the only time, as I said, that God speaks to Aaron on his own. This means to me that even in one's darkest hour, God can still be heard. For me, this means that even though in your darkest hours, God is there waiting for you. Don't think that you are alone. No, you are never alone. Aaron might think, am I alone now? How can I approach this God that is so dreadful? This God that took away my two eldest sons in one day. Not even maybe one day today, another one tomorrow. In one day, two. Boom! Oh man, this God is a harsh God. It's a terrible one. I'm afraid to even go before him. Right? People who are going to be pissing in our pants. They are afraid. Right? To go close. Because we don't know what might happen. Right? But God is saying, no, don't be afraid. I spoke to you on the reason why, what happened, what they did wrong. And God begins to console him. Right? That is showing that even in one's darkest hours, in one that I think that there is no light after the tunnel, God is saying, no, there's always light after the tunnel. Don't be afraid. Don't go and commit suicide. Because many people think the answer is suicide in different forms. I'm not only physical suicide. Some people commit spiritual suicide. They say, you know what? They depart from God wickedly. They say, you know, I'm going to abandon this God. He doesn't listen to me. He did this and this to me. People get angry with God in that darkest hour. They say, I pray, he didn't answer. Oh, you know, he's silent. The same thing, what happened among some of the European Jews, right, during the Holocaust. Some of them, we have two kinds of them, of our people. There is one that praise God and exalt the name of the Lord for the grace, for the saving of their life, and for the establishment of the state of Israel after that. Well, there are some part of the European Jews, some part of them that did what? That hate God. They say, if God is alive, why did they allow this to happen? Why did God allow 6 million to die? Is it not God? Can't he just intervene? They become bitter for the rest of their life and they die in misery. Right? Because they're bitter against God. Aaron has a choice. Aaron the Kohen Gadol can do the same thing like that. He can be bitter against God for the rest of his life, or he can see the light after the tunnel. He can say, you know what, I'm taking the other side. I'm going to stand by God, by him, because he is my creator. He can do all things. He can even raise them back from there. He's God. He can do that if he wants. So this is the teaching that the Torah the Torah is teaching us. In our darkest hour, in the time that we think that we are about to fall from the mountain. God say, no, don't be afraid. I'm there with you. Just watch out. Come close to me. I will lift you up upon my wings. Like any human being that may experience a tragedy, we can either attune to God or close our ears. It's a choice. You must attune to the word, to the frequency. You can attune to the frequency of the Holy One, blessed be He. Or you might say, I don't want to hear. I'm gone. I want to. Some people, they depart from God wickedly, as I said. They abandon Him and say, this is it's a waste of time. But I want to assure you, it is never a waste of time. When you stand firm by God, when you stand firm by your Creator, He will bring it to pass. All the blessings, all the promises that He has promised you. His word will never go in vain. The Torah said the word of God will never go in vain. The word of God will surely accomplish everything that He has said concerning you. What the Holy One is saying, be patient. Stand on the path. Don't go here. Don't go here. Don't say that you are smart. Don't say that you want to improve anything. No. Do exactly what you are commanded. God says command you to sit. You sit and you wait. Until when He said, He give you the next command. When God says stand, you stand. Even though your leg is paining you, stand until you hear the next command. If God says go sleep, go sleep on your bed. Until you, it's an example, right? I'm not saying a physical one like that. Whatever God command you try to do, and you wait until you hear the next command. Don't go ahead of yourself. Don't go behind of yourself. Stand on the right time. There is time for everything, and God showed us through this message of this morning that He is able, is always there, even though at the darkest hour, at the tough hour, at the time that people experience all kinds of tragedy, all kinds of pain, all kinds of tribulation, all kinds of punishment. He is there. Only you and me has to be attuned to His voice. But if you are not attuned to that frequency, you will not hear it. But once you are attuned to that frequency, you will hear, and He will give you the next instruction, the next thing to do. And the next thing will be your deliverance. So we as children of God should always remain attuned to the Holy One, blessed be He. To paraphrase everything, where is God? Where is the Holy One, blessed be He? Wherever and whenever we choose to let Him in, that is where God is. Wherever, whenever we individually chooses God to come in, that's where God is. God, people say, God is not there. No. You know, I gave us an example. The sun is in the center, right? And all the planets go round it, right? God is always stationary. It's in the center. We are the one that is drifting away from God. It's not God that is drifting away from us. No. We human beings is the one that is drifting away from our Father. And God is saying, come back home, oh man, come back home, return back home, return to the garden, return. So that is the idea. Whenever we allow Him to come in, that's where He is. God is always, He's right by your side. He's right by, just right here by your nose. But sometimes we don't see it. We want to go, what is right here, we want to go and check it in China. Why are you going to, who is commanded to go to China? The God that you are seeking is right here in Montreal, and you are right here in Montreal, but somebody tell you God is in China, you pack your load, you are going to China to God. Who commanded you to go to China? That is the problem, because I had one rabbi said, I had one pastor said, I had one imam said, hey, there's a miracle there. I run. How do you know? God is right here. The issue is that most of us are not attuned to that voice. Get your frequency right. Attune to the voice of God. Attune to the right frequency, and you will hear God. Anywhere under the sun, it's always there. Parashat Shemini, to be silent. We always have to be silent. Wait for the next instruction. Shabbat Shalom.